This is our third Find a Balance. Today we are in Prince Rupert, the city of rainbows. It's also known as Canada's cloudiest and wettest town, but not today. Hi, I'm Fanny Kiefer. Some of the main industries here are commercial fishing, fish processing, tourism, and transportation. But expansion, LNG or liquefied natural gas, is coming to the North Coast. So how do we find a balance between economic development and the environment? This northern community is no stranger to heavy industry. Many boom and bust cycles have played out here over the years. Because of BC's abundant natural gas and the North Coast's easy access to Asian markets, this area is a prime location for LNG development. Let's take the pulse of the people in Cow Bay at Cow Puccino's Coffee Shop, a local hangout. How do you make a living?
I've made my living commercial fishing since I was 23 years old. I run a relatively small boat, one of the smaller boats in the fleet.
And what concerns you about LNG? What's your biggest concern?
LNG itself seems to me to be a relatively clean fuel. It's how you're going to cool the plant, where you're going to build it would be the biggest concern. Like, get it away from that Skeena River estuary.
What we'd like to know more is the sustainability of these projects. Are they going to come in? Are we going to have just jobs for 2 years? Or are we going to have jobs for, a couple decades? And are our children going to be benefiting from this? So we need to know that our environment's safe and it's going to remain safe, and that there's safeguards in place that we could control throughout this project.
I think it's a good industry. If we can have an LNG plant here, I know for the town we could use an economic boost like that. I know for being a businessman, I'd like to see the town stay busy, throughout the year. And having two small children, I hope that they can also grow up and work here. And there's economic spin-offs from the LNG.
Well, we've heard from a few of the locals. Now let's see what some of the area's key stakeholders have to say about LNG development. We invited First Nations representatives to be part of this, but they weren't available.
Welcome. My name is Jack Masalem, the Mayor, City of Prince Rupert.
My name is Dave McDonald, Mayor for the District of Port Edward.
LNG is coming to the North Coast, we hear.
Yeah, there's that rumor out there.
The positives, the negatives for you as a town mayor.
Well, the positives are that it'll complement Prince Rupert, which is already the fastest growing port in North America.
Concerns?
Concerns are that we need to get ready. Whether or not this actually happens, we need to do some planning. And with that thought in mind, I've asked the staff at the City of Prince Rupert to get a hold of the various project proponents, seeing we've got 4 projects already underway in Prince Rupert, and look at the LNG proposals, look at the possibilities, and also start to consider the effect that such growth could have on such things as healthcare, policing, education, fire rescue, even utilization of such things as the city's recreation facilities.
Important. And in Port Ed?
Well, I agree with what Jack has said here just now, but for a little community like Port Edward, I'm very happy to see it coming our way, but at the same time very nervous about how things are going to change around Port Edward, and I really want to see children able to stay in the town and work, and the parents that are working throughout BC and Alberta come back home. And I think the whole area is looking forward to this.
And are you prepared for the influx of workers, for the people who will come here and perhaps leave quickly?
We're working on it, and we have one of the camps has come to us, and they've purchased some land to look at building in Port Edward, and we're welcoming them with open arms, and we just want to see everybody stay here.
How many facilities can this area take, do you think?
I basically feel that we'll see 2 of them, and we are talking with the government about things that have to be done here. Like, there's a lot of infrastructure and roads and sewer, water, everything else that have to be upgraded, and looking forward to working with everybody.
How goes the consultation process so far?
The consultation process has just started with the staff of the City of Prince Rupert, getting people, making sure they're available to meet, to have these discussions. We're aware that there's a variety of proponents. To somebody that lives here locally, it looks like there's a gold rush going on regarding finding LNG sites and looking for markets, as well as looking for gas at the wellheads. But there's a process there. It is underway, and should decisions be made, we understand some of the decisions regarding construction on sites in the north could be made around the end of 2014. Minister Coleman has said that construction could start in 2016. But of course, once a decision is made, if it's made in the affirmative, the next thing would be getting the permits, and then they would start with clearing the land, removing the timber, removing the stumps, removing the overburden. So there is time. Certainly we understand an influx of 3,500 people per project could have a great effect on us. And part of our role here is to ensure that as we go through any sort of development, that it lessens the growing pains on the people in the area, and we're still able to function daily and make the appropriate accommodation, make the appropriate plans for implementation should we get a large influx.
And Mayor Dave, you've seen it before. The influx of people and the changes in the community. You said Port Edward, it's quaint, it's idyllic,
Yes.
it's small.
Yes. At one time when the American Army was here, of course, there was a lot of influx, and then the downturn and the mill, when it went down, that really hit the whole area hard. And we need people working. We don't want to see all the places boarded up, and we want to see activity in our area.
Thriving.
So, you know, you worry, and at the same time you're excited. And we know that there are issues. And I think we ourselves, the government and the proponents, the liquefied natural gas plants that want to come, they're talking, and they'll get everything together, and we'll decide what's good for us.
Sure.
It's working
and that's
together.
important, isn't it? The local aspect.
Certainly. Similarly in Prince Rupert, at one time we had a population of 18 to 19,000. We lost a lot of the resource-based economies. We got down to 10 to 11,000. We're now up to 13,000 plus. The average house price has gone from 160,000 up to 190,000. And we lost a generation. We lost those people that are from the ages of 20 into 32, 35. They got educated, they couldn't come home to work. We're now seeing that happen. We're seeing people come back to work in the area. We've had 13 businesses open in a 22-month period, and since then we've had a couple of more. But people want a good quality of life. This is pristine West Coast wilderness. This is a rainforest area, so people want to retain the quality of life, but they also want jobs. And of course, every consideration has to have a balance.
Is LNG a challenge that you really look forward to, or
Well,
how do you feel about it?
I always look
personally?
for opportunities. And there's opportunities for the community. Each opportunity has its own individual challenges. And to get an opportunity, you have to face challenges. And it's important for us to have a good look at these things. And at this point, it is not a great concern. Certainly one of the locations is a concern for some of the marine community. I know in the interior, some of the pipeline routing has been a concern, but changes are being made to accommodate. So hopefully in the end, we see these things come here with the least amount of disruption and able to accommodate the majority.
Sure.
But the thing about both our administration and governance is that we are looking ahead and trying to know what's going on and be able to be up to the task at the time to get it done. But at the same time, I've always said that when I've had people in the office that if the people of Port Ed say to me they don't want it, that's how my vote goes. But so far it's been great. But the more information we have from everybody involved, the better decisions that can be made by all.
My name is Don Crucell. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Prince Rupert Port Authority.
What's unique about this port?
Well, our unique feature is that we're the closest port in all of North America to the Asian marketplace, and we're nicely located to Canada's resource industry. So we're the shortest land-sea link between North America and the Asian economies.
Well, there's a rumor LNG is coming.
There certainly is.
To the North Coast. How will that affect what you do? What happens here?
Well, really, it's just a continuation of the growth that we have seen over the last number of years. We've been on a growth projectile here for the last 5 years, even before we heard of the three letters LNG. But it certainly has attracted our attention, and it will mean even a more diversified offering here at the port.
How safe is it for a big ship to transport LNG to Asia?
Well, we can't lose sight of the fact that we already have well over 400 deep sea vessel calls coming into Prince Rupert every year. And they're some of the biggest in the world. We have 240,000 deadweight ton coal vessels coming in. We have some of the largest cruise vessels coming into the inner harbor. We have some of the largest container vessels coming into Prince Rupert already. The LNG vessels will just be an additional to that already very significant traffic level that's coming into Prince Rupert.
Can Rupert handle it? The traffic,
well,
the shipping lane?
Well, we really think that Prince Rupert and the Prince Rupert Harbor is the ideal location for that type of traffic. We're blessed with probably one of the nicest, safest, deepest, widest harbors in the world. One of our competitive advantages is that this harbor is a very safe and wide open harbor to come into. And so as what we are doing actually is in anticipation of this growth, whether it be LNG or additional traffic in our other lines of business, is ensuring that we can handle the increased traffic. It's no different than a highway. You may have a two-lane highway, but as the increase in traffic continues to grow, you widen that highway, and that's what we're looking at.
Stiffer regulations around transporting LNG?
Well, we're looking into that because we know that LNG is on the horizon. Our Harbor Masters Department here at the port is actually going out to the world and looking for what are the best practices for LNG carriers, what is the leading edge approach to handling this, and we're taking a close look at our current, what we call practices and procedures, how we handle vessel traffic as they come in, and it may include the necessity to have tug escorts all the way in and other escort services, designated laneways for that particular type of vessel to come into Prince Rupert. But we are going to be guided by the best practices in the world, and that will pave the way for how we'll handle these vessels in the future.
And how many terminals can Rupert handle?
Well,
give or take?
You know, we can probably handle a lot of growth, and that's kind of one of our competitive advantages right now. We are a young port. When you compare us to ports around the world, especially in North America, and especially on the west coast of North America. And we have over 1,000 acres of waterfront lands that we have designated for this type of growth. And the I guess, advantage of those lands and our competitive advantage is that those lands are connected to the rest of North America and connected to those commodities by one of the best rail and road transportation systems. And at the same time, they're connected to the world markets by one of the deepest, widest, and safest harbors in the world. So we have a really great opportunity here to accommodate this type of growth.
Any environmental concerns on your behalf? Port concerns? Anything that you think is a huge challenge in the future?
You know, I think that I don't think that there are any specific challenges to any particular industry, whether it be LNG or any of the other growth opportunities we have. But most importantly, we looked at the waterways and we said, with this added traffic, which could grow from 400 vessel calls a year today to tripling that to nearly 1,500 vessel calls by 2020, 2025. And so it's the added traffic that we are planning for, and as I said, we're looking at our practices and procedures and how we are going to handle that additional traffic, and by doing so, we hope to have minimal impact not only on the environment, but the community at large.
And if something does go wrong, worst case scenario, first responders in place, structure in place to handle whatever happens?
Yeah, absolutely. And we already have first responders in place today to handle the traffic. But once again, as the traffic grows, you make sure that your response capabilities grow with the added traffic, that you have the proper equipment and capabilities in place to handle the different types of commodities that will be moving through this port. And you do that through consultation and collaboration with all of the various stakeholders. Today, when a vessel comes in, it's not just the Port Authority through our Harbour Master Department. It's in coordination with the Canadian Coast Guard. It's in coordination with the Marine Pilotage Authority, and all of those agencies, plus the public and plus the First Nations, will have a say and have a voice in helping everybody plan for this additional traffic in the future.
I'm Joy Thorkelson, the Northern Representative for the United Fishermen and Allied Workers Union, Unifor.
How do you feel about LNG coming to Prince Rupert?
Well, I think I feel the same as most people in Prince Rupert. We certainly welcome the jobs and welcome the industry. That's on one side, but on the other side, we're worried about the environmental effects and what it could do to our other major industry, which is the commercial fishing industry and tourism, which is also based on fishing. So I think, you know, we're sort of ambivalent. We really want the jobs. We think the industry appears to be somewhat clean, but we are worried about the environmental impacts on fishing.
And do you trust the consultation process? Are you being talked to by industry, talked to by government?
Well, I guess one of the problems that City Council is finding itself facing is that there's so many of these projects going on all at once, and our community, the whole North Coast, has had a real depression here, and so we really don't have any money. The city is just hanging together. You know, we really don't have enough money even to pave 15 kilometers of streets some years, and so to try to find money to hire somebody who would be an expert to help us walk through all of the types of environmental assessments that are going on, and each LNG plant has at least 2 environmental assessments, because there's one for the pipeline and there's one for the terminal, which means that you're facing 2 environmental assessments per company that's coming in, and we have up to 10 applications on the North Coast, and so it's just really overwhelming with that amount of work, and none of us being LNG experts. Right now, we don't know how our watershed is going to be impacted. We don't know how our airshed is going to be impacted. At one time, we had a pulp mill at Port Ed where these plants are going to be located. We had the pulp mill smell coming over the mountains. So obviously, if that was a prevailing wind, many times Prince Rupert smelled like a pulp mill. We're worried what kind of fumes we'll be breathing with LNG. We don't know, and we don't know what the cumulative effects are. So maybe is 1 plant okay, 2 plants, 3 plants, 4 plants, how many plants? And we don't know. So far, the method for determining where a plant is being located is really what we call, well, some of us call anyway, I call a dart on a chart. So somebody's just taken a dart, thrown it at a chart, it's landed on an island, and they say, great, that looks like an island, it's flat. Boats can get in there and out of there pretty easily, so let's locate there without looking at which would be the best place to locate, least environmentally impactful. And these LNG plants have all decided to locate in the Skeena Estuary, and that's a huge problem for anybody who cares about commercial salmon fishing. But the biggest problem for us here is that we have the commercial fishing industry. I mean, you can see a boat here and a boat here, and we all rely on the commercial fishing industry. In Prince Rupert, it pumped $6 million into this community in 6 weeks this summer, and I defy any other industry that can say that they pumped that much money into a community in that short a length of time. And yet all of the salmon that come out of the Skeena River rear in that estuary right in front of these LNG plants. So we don't know what's going to happen to those. All we need is one burp of hot water that they might use for their cooling systems to fry 2 or 3 years return, 2 or 3 years of different salmon stocks, and every one of them could be impacted. Those juveniles live in that area from probably May till maybe September, July, and they're in that area. It's the Skeena comes around Lelu Island, it comes around Ridley Island, and those 2 islands are in and the third island, Smith Island, they're all in the estuary, and the Skeena's arms engulf them, and so the fish are all around those 3 islands rearing in that habitat.
What do you think would make commercial fishermen feel confident about the process, the consultation process, having an LNG plant 1, 2, 3 in Edward?
Well, what the union's been calling for is a process very much different than the dart on the chart process. What we've asked is that the provincial government actually come and identify the 3 least harmful sites. If we think that we can accommodate 3 LNG plants, then let's look at the 3 best sites. If we think we can accommodate 10 LNG plants, let's look at the 10 best sites. But let's choose the best sites. And then let's decide if we need 1 pipeline corridor or whether we need 10 pipeline corridors. Because remember, each of these corridors is probably going to be 1 kilometer wide. It's got to come all the way from, the LNG or the liquid natural gas or the natural gas fields in either Alberta or northern British Columbia. It's got to cross the whole province. So it's got to cross all the millions of streams, or really not millions, but sure, hundreds and maybe even some cases thousands of waterways where salmon spawn that go into the Fraser and Skeena and Nass systems. Fraser, Skeena, Nass, and Stikine systems. So all of those are important salmon rearing rivers.
And sacred.
That's right.
So Prince Rupert, the North Coast, needs jobs, need money.
Right.
Build hospitals, roads, all of that. So do you find a balance between environment and economy?
That's always the big problem, job versus the environment. And in this case, we're not saying LNG go away. We're just saying, was the dart on the chart the best way to decide where you're going to locate this industry? Or would a better way have been, and would still be, is finding the least damaging place to locate those plants, those huge big plants, and then we can service them with roads. There's so much money in there. Surely we can service them with roads. We've got First Nations all in this area that have large numbers of unemployed people who are just dying to work on those plants. And so the idea is, should we just take them out of that Skeena estuary and move them 100 miles or 100 kilometers up the Tsimshian Peninsula, or 50 kilometers up the Tsimshian Peninsula, or even on Digby Island, or on the other side of Digby Island where you came in on the airport?
So location, location, location.
Location, location, location.
Let's leave Prince Rupert for a moment as we've sent our Find a Balance crew to Vancouver to speak to BC Minister of Natural Gas Development, Rich Coleman.
We have very good gas coming out of the ground, so this is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, but our gas comes out cooler than most places around the world, so to liquefy it, it takes less energy, so it's less impact on the environment to actually liquefy our gas. And in the areas where we would liquefy it, places like Kitimat and Prince Rupert, the mean temperature is also a lot better than it is in some countries where they get up to 110, 120 degrees Fahrenheit during the summer months, and we don't have that modulation in our temperatures, so it really does make our gas pretty competitive. We have huge amounts of natural gas in northeastern British Columbia that we know we have. We have a limited North American market that we can ship to, but we also know that Asia wants our natural gas. So to liquefy natural gas, you take it down, basically you freeze it down to 160 degrees below zero, and it becomes a liquid. Then it's able to be shipped around the world. So basically we can move our gas offshore, much more volumes than we do in North America, and we can actually supply the world with substantial amount of natural gas for between 85 and 100 years. The drilling programs for a number of the companies have been expanded this year up to peak levels. Already in the northeastern part of our province since the election, there's been more commitment to drilling. In a place like Kitimat today, Chevron's already spent $500 million preparing a road and looking at a site and doing site preparation in advance of getting to their final investment decision, do all the exploratory work, and the same thing for the other companies. And so we're actually already seeing the benefit in those communities in the northwest and the northeast. It's a multi-level plan, actually. So the Minister of Jobs, which is Shirley Bond, is working on a plan we've sat down with the industry and said what jobs, what training, what skill sets for every job to do with LNG. then we're going to change our training programs to match up to those jobs. We're also obviously going to have help and discussion with both the federal government and other jurisdictions across Canada, because we're going to see growth in jobs in Alberta and in Saskatchewan. They have some resources too that are going to impact their particular economies. So we're going to have a pretty dynamic jobs plan piece for training, but it will not just include British Columbia, because we'll actually want to attract from the rest of the country in order to fulfill the jobs. Every project has to go through a rigorous environmental assessment process, and so they all have to go through that in order to actually get to approval, which is the environmental assessment process that has served British Columbia for a long time, and they will have to meet those standards in order to get approval.
Well, as you've heard, there's a wide range of opinion on this subject, so to round things out, we ask each guest one question. Is the region prepared for this kind of growth?
I think there's a number of things that have to be done to help us be ready for the influx, and roads and infrastructure are things that should be upgraded, make it easier for traffic and everything in the area. There's stuff within the community that we need fixed up also for heavy industry, like land for them, and working with the government to free the land just a little quicker.
No, the North Coast is not ready. What we're seeing now, what we're experiencing, is the gold rush. Well, these LNG companies run around looking for sites. Beyond that, the communities are now aware and are getting up to speed on what they need to do. And we'll be talking to the provincial government. We'll be looking around, finding where we need to have support. And in that way, we will make ourselves ready, and we will be prepared by the end of 2014 should an LNG company make a decision in the affirmative to build in our area.
There's still going to be strains on the system, no matter how prepared we are with this type of growth. But I think it can be overcome, and the community is ready because they want to see prosperity come to this region, and so they will find a way to overcome those strains and stresses that will find their way into the community as a result of the growth. But so generally, yes.
I think that Prince Rupert needs to have assistance in helping us become ready. We have nobody on staff at the Prince Rupert City or any of the other First Nations that can help us walk through all the myriad of problems. We've asked the federal and provincial government for funding. They haven't been forthcoming with that funding, and it's very, very difficult for us to deal with all of the problems that face us in determining whether the LNG is good for us or not.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, first of all, natural gas has a pretty low impact on the land base with regards to the environment. The north coast of British Columbia, both in Kitimat, Prince Rupert, and north of Prince Rupert and Grassy Point, if all of that was attracted, it would be about $100 billion in capital, and the jobs that would come with it and actually be what this northwest part of the province has been looking for some time. The northwest part of our province has been hit through tough economic times in the forest industry, particularly over the last decade, simply because of the changes in the market, and they were probably the hardest hit. So they're pretty excited that they've got something positive to look at today, and so they're being really, really, I guess you could say, enthusiastic, but also visionary with regards to this opportunity in the Northwest.
So there you have it. Another Find a Balance show comes to a close. Please join us online with your thoughts on this show and our other episodes as we strive to find a balance in British Columbia.